Welcome to the JALTCALL podcast. I'm your host for the day, Geoff Carr, and I am joined by Brian Gallagher
Hey guys, I'm Brian Gallagher. I'm at Meiji University.
and Robert Remmerswaal
Hello, down here in Kumamoto Sojo University.
and Luc Gougeon.
Hi, I'm Luc. I'm also at Sojo University in Kumamoto.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. Today we want to talk about the theme fundamentals as we're looking towards a new school year beginning right now. Many of the students who come in are in need of, well, a lot of fundamental skills that they don't have yet. And a lot of our returning students may have forgotten some of those. We'd like to talk about this, and I'd like to just get your guys' opinions first on what do students look like coming in at the beginning of the year. You want to talk about first-year students first?
Children. They look like children. They look like happy children.
Happy children, and we want to make them unhappy? Is that what you're saying?
Young adults, I guess.
Easy to please. Very eager, not easy to please, eager to please when they first come in.
Genki.
Okay.
They're increasingly getting better with using technology, which this is what we're going to talk about today, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. We see improvement in some ways, and I've actually seen some declines in other skills. I think maybe because of the devices and apps that students use more often. Where do you guys want to start today? You want to begin with maybe covering some fundamental tech skills, go through some of those, and talk about what we've seen and how we can maybe help our students develop those more?
Yeah, so I guess the first step for me is always trying to get students to log in. I guess everybody's got a different type of computer. I use a Chromebook at work, but most students have got a PC, I think. How about you guys? What kind of computers are you using?
In our university, mostly PCs and Apple.
Yeah,
Okay. We have
like
probably
90%.
an equal split. Yeah, 90% what?
PC?
PCs.
Window
PC.
PC?
Windows,
Okay.
PC,
You guys have
yeah.
more window stuff, PC stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we have probably a pretty equal split between Mac and Windows when it comes to the notebooks that students carry. What about phones? I know that this is an issue too. And my school is probably 70-30, maybe closer to 60-40 iPhone over Android. What do you guys see?
I think probably closer to 70% Apple over Android.
Yeah, something like that.
I think in Nagoya, they're pretty, I would say 90% is an iPhone.
90, wow.
Yeah, only 10%. Yeah, every time I go to the shop, I have an Android phone myself. I've got a Chinese Huawei, and it's very difficult to find accessories or cases. I think nearly everybody's doing an Apple, just about at my place in Aichi, at least.
Yeah. Well, Brian, you brought up logging in and getting students to work with passwords a lot. The device that they're using has a significant impact on that. How do you handle it?
So at our place, students, I guess, they're using their smartphone. They get a username and a password, and they're expected to be able to log in and then get to their portal. And then from the portal, they can then get to the LMS, which is web class at our place. And then I drag them away into Google Classroom, where it's all in English, and it's a lot different. But yeah, logging in passwords is always quite difficult. I think we always think that Google's the first step, like you're searching for something, but I have to spend, usually quite a lot of time, just this is how, if you're using a computer, like how to turn it on, and then how to get the keyboard set to English. So I guess on the phone, everything is already in Japanese. So I tried to get the students to please change your phone settings to English. I work in a faculty of foreign studies, and so I say, right, now you're in the faculty of foreign studies, everything is foreign. Change your phone to English, so the actual phone settings is all in English. And I say to them, if you want to switch it back to Japanese, that's fine. But while you're here and you're working, do it in English. So students maybe change it a couple of times in the day.
Yeah, that's kind of a neat recommendation that I've been using probably almost 10 years now. When I'm studying a different language, I turn my phone settings and everything over to the target language that I'm working on,
Mm.
whether it's Italian or French or Korean or whatever. Korean was a little bit rough. I did that for a while, but it really motivates you to get better at Hangul, let me tell you. Wait, let's see. Luke, I know you use password management software. Do you have your students do the same?
Not necessarily, but one important thing at Sojo University is that we are using a OAuth system. So our university runs on Microsoft, and all the services that the students need to log in are using the school email.
Okay,
So
so you can
we
just
have
have
to be
students log in with that.
we have
Yeah,
to be
us
Hmm.
very careful in telling them to use their school email and not, for example, their phone email or a
no
Gmail
private.
address.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of confusion that can arise there, and your school uses Microsoft and the Office 365 OA
exactly.
system. You guys also then default to Microsoft Edge as a browser and Bing as a search engine?
Naturally, the students using Microsoft based computer PCs will have Edge as a default, but we recommend using Chrome for certain plugin that we use within Moodles, which are not
Okay.
compatible with Edge. So in general, we'll try to get the students to download Chrome and use it when they're doing some activities within Moodle.
Right. Chrome supports an awful lot of language oriented plugins and that sort of thing. And Brian, you use the Google Classroom set up at your school, don't you?
Yeah, so our school uses, like Google Mail. So Google is the main system, which I think a lot of universities use.
Hmm.
And I tell my students exclusively, for my class at least, I say to them, only use Chrome, only use Chrome, only use Chrome. So I go around and I tell them off, saying like, don't use Edge. Uh, Very rare to have somebody using like a Firefox. They basically
Hmm.
just go with what's in front of them. And so yeah, we use Google Classroom, and it works well. But I think students need to always, as you guys were saying, you have to use your university email address all the time. And I try explicitly to say to them, when you're doing school stuff, use your school address. Like your
Hmm.
private stuff, and then that way your life is not crazy. Like, so where is my school stuff? Which password did I use? Always use the school one, like, or whatever's your university domain.
Yeah, that's a really key message to try to get across to the students. And for a lot of students, too, they aren't really experienced with how their phone is set up. Uh, Rob, I think you'd been talking about students coming in with auto translation enabled and they didn't even know what was going on with that.
Yeah, it's very common when they come in. They have just even like the listening test, different things that we have when they first come in, and things will be all in Japanese. And then some. So you just have to go around and see, oh, your auto translate is on. Please just turn that off. Usually they're a little embarrassed or sheepish. Um, yeah,
Mm.
I've never seen a student trying to cheat. It just tends to just be an accident.
All right, their phone's set up that way. Do you have a set of language settings or a sort of standard language setting setup that you recommend students use?
So it's difficult because in each context it's a little different. Like, I think students should be prepared for the real
Right.
world. And the reality is, if I'm on a Japanese website, I'm not trying to work on my Japanese. I just want to get the information as quickly as possible. And I think for most people, unless their English is at a very high level, uh, that's probably going to be true for them as well. But when
Good
you're
point.
trying to study, you're trying to improve, you don't want to have like defaults on. So I guess my recommendation would be for it to always ask, never have it automatically do anything. So you can make that decision. Am I trying to study English right now, or am I trying to just get information quickly?
Mm. That reminds me a little bit of the kind of advice that you'll get if you go to a golf coach, right? You got to spend some of your time in practice mode when you're actively trying to improve those skills and you are doing specific motions for a specific purpose, not caring about the results. But then when you get on the course or just other time when you're practicing, you need to be in play mode when you don't think about what it is that you're doing, but rather about the goal that you're trying to accomplish. And your setup for those modes, either mentally or on your device, might be different. Okay,
Exactly.
it's kind of nice. To do any of this, students need to be able to use keyboards. I've noticed that with more smartphones, students seem to come into school with, in my case anyway, lower keyboard skills than I was used to, say, 10 or 15 years ago. What have you guys found, and how do you address that?
I'll jump on that one. So I teach 5 writing classes, writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first year, second year, and third year. And so I encourage the students from the very, very first day all the way to the last. Work on your keyboarding skills, so touch typing. So I'm going to mention that a little bit later, but often students don't know, like Rob was saying about the settings. Sometimes they're using the Japanese keyboard and sometimes they're using the English keyboard. Sometimes they're working on a thing and they switch in between and they're not so sure. So I think that has to be part of your kind of boot camp based training, that you have the students get familiar with the keyboard. And it helps them speed up too. I think I sometimes have third year students that are still typing like a dinosaur with one finger on each hand. And they're saying, "Oh, this is taking me so long." And I was thinking, "Of course it is, because you're missing out 8 other fingers that could be helping you get along with it."
For those of you who can't see Brian on video right now, the short-armed Tyrannosaurus Rex imitation he's doing right now is absolutely first rate. So that's where he's going with that. Okay.
I mean, there's the idea of giving the students a little bit of time to acclimate to the keyboard, and just by typing a simple URL, something in the search bar, you can see that the students are struggling. If they are trying to type in Japanese on the Japanese keyboard, you can just say, "Why don't you switch your keyboard to English?" So there's a lot of walking around the classroom, I think, in that first class of the first semester, and making sure that the students are doing well. And we talked a little bit about logging in. One thing I do personally is to have the students take a picture of their passwords in case they forget it. And I know Brian does it a little bit differently, but what do you do, Brian?
So yes, I usually have little kind of like Macy size paper, and I say to them, write it down. And so I use the kind of like the Namai pen, the kind of felt tip markers, and write it nice and large. And then I say to the students, just put it in the case of your phone. So like in between your phone and your case. So like just so it's there and it's quick, or put it in your wallet or something like that. The students in my place usually get a printout within their orientation documents. Somewhere it'll say username and password. It might be bold, I don't know, but students get given so much material. It's a kind of blizzard of white A4. So yeah, just little kind of like handy things are kind of the easiest for them to hang on to.
Oh, that would be some really good advice, especially if your school is using the Google Classroom or the Microsoft OWA Office 365 setup, where students can, in an awful lot of cases, just default to using their university login as a way to log into a lot of resources. And that simplifies this problem quite a bit, doesn't it? I know when it comes to the keyboarding and that, one of the challenges that students have is they're often immediately asked to produce a lot of material. They're asked to write, and they have to hand in assignments often online instead of on paper. They haven't been used to that before. Word processing comes into this. And I know, Rob, you've been talking about handling word processing there some.
Well, yeah, I think it's just important that students get the English grammar and English spell check onto their devices, so they get some very, very basic feedback on some common mistakes they're making. And whether they have that in the word processor or directly on, we use Moodle, so just directly on web, getting some feedback right away, it can greatly increase the quality of their work, make it a little easier to understand when they're spelling things a little more correctly. So it's a big help. Just turning that on in the first week or two of school gives them a big advantage.
What do you guys think about the kind of feedback you get from a service like Grammarly that doesn't just correct grammar and
I love
spelling,
it.
but also gives you a lot of stylistic points and that sort of thing? You love it?
Yeah.
I use Grammarly. I use Grammarly myself for emails, especially it's good for the tone. But I think there's quite a few of these freemium services. You know, it starts off free, and you have to keep on saying, when it pops up, upgrade, say no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. I think students have to be wary of that, because often there's so many alerts jump up, especially when students buy a new computer and everything's a new login and a new everything is popping up saying, would you like this? Would you like that? And so students going to think like, okay, yes, do I don't know.
Right.
And um,
Do you guys ever go through and help students to clean out the crapware, if you'll excuse me, that comes with a lot of those new computers? Or is that something you just tell them maybe you ought to watch out for?
just click no thank you and look for the box, look for the X mark, look for the bats, and just, swat it away like it's a mosquito. Just saying no thank you. I would say to students, if you're not sure, say no. Unless you're really sure, say no. And if an error message pops up, don't just swat it away too quickly, because it might be something that's important.
Makes sense. Okay.
I'll
Now,
normally tell my students to update their computer, which is a small detail, but they come in, they have a brand new computer. I point at them on the screen what the update sign looks like on Microsoft, and it's like, well, when you have a chance at home, please sit down and update your computer and keep your computer plugged with good Wi-Fi, and that's very important for us because sometimes the updates will have an impact on how we use the LMS system in our school. So it's very important to have an updated computer.
Do you guys have alternatives to Grammarly? I mean, is everybody using Grammarly? Is there an alternative, or there?
well, I use Grammarly for myself, and I recommend it to my seminar students. For a lot of students in English survey courses or broader courses, so I just try to teach them how to use some of the tools that are present in Word or Google Docs, like that. For many students, that's really good enough. And if they start to write more in English, I say, well, okay, maybe this Grammarly plugin would help you. That's how I've addressed it.
And there's the Microsoft Editor plugin also works. So the same kind of grammar spell check that you have in Word can be brought into both Chrome and Edge browser.
Okay. I haven't heard of that. Okay. Luc, I think you'd been concerned about student awareness of file management, like naming files and that sort of thing after they've created these documents in word processors or other apps.
Yeah, depending on which system they're working. If you're in a Google Classroom environment, it's not a problem because the files are going to be saved by themselves. But if you're working with Word documents or Excel, they do have to understand the basic structure of a file system and how to name their file and know where to find the file. And the students are not necessarily very familiar with that if they're only using smartphones or tablets. So
Yeah.
Once they come in and have to use a real computer, that's one thing I've noticed that they struggle with.
Real computer here, man. Isn't your bias showing a little bit there? Because an iPhone is about as powerful as a desktop from 10 years ago now.
Yeah, there's definitely a bias there.
A little bit. But no, I get it because, I'm from a time when we didn't even have graphical user interfaces, and students often simply don't even understand something like file management, what a file tree looks like and how files can be placed inside of other files and why you need to maybe save things in one particular folder instead of another. And that it's an analogy that they don't get because they haven't seen it so much.
So I think that you can one of the Cepher can do statements is can you follow or can you create a flow chart? Is one of the can do Cepher statements. So I use that in a discussion course where we actually have the flow chart. And sometimes like the topic could be like follow a process or create. We do in the second year writing. We do create. You have to create a process. You know, like the step one, step two, step three, and saying right. Okay, so and I use the example of how do you log in to the computer and get it to like the Google Classroom. So students have to kind of go, oh right, password, right, okay, or Wi-Fi, okay, Wi-Fi, then the password, and then that's like step by step. So I think we joke about how multi-step it is to get to the starting point. But yeah.
But teaching them about those dependencies and showing them, that if they're just starting halfway through the process, they might have missed something fundamental and really important, could help avoid a lot of trouble.
Can I ask for file nomenclature? Do you guys have standard ways that you ask students to name a file? So in my writing course, it would be name, ID number, course code, and then assignment title, and then like draft one or final version. Do you guys have standards?
For anything that's being submitted to me outside of the Microsoft Teams LMS, yes, I do. I ask students to start with the assignment or name or paper title, then their full name in English, school ID number, et cetera, right there. And then I walk them through just a simple revision one, revision two, et cetera, in that. But 90% of what I get comes through the LMS, so I don't really have to worry about it that much.
Same
Yeah,
here.
for me,
Most of the stuff
everything
come in
is-
through Moodle, so everything.
Just with the
everything.
LMS. Like I have
LMS,
students
yeah,
submit videos for like a discussion course, and I say, like before you submit, so you just do a raw video like with your phone. Before you submit it into the LMS, change the file name to your partner one's name and partner two's name and the task. And because I get so many files that are just like garbage, like combinations of letters, like or dates and times, and you've got no idea. I'm saying to like it's madness, like. And now I've been using Google for 8 years, almost exclusively, and so I have a glut of files. I guess I should maybe kind of delete anything older than 3 years old, right? I should do some file management myself.
Cleaning is very important. Yes.
This is definitely the case. All right. Well, we've talked about file management and file naming, but students, one reason they aren't very good at this is because they tend to be used to searching for things. They search for everything there. Do you guys teach students a particular search engine or a particular mode of search?
So
Don't
Google
everybody
Drive.
jump at once.
Google Drive. We use Google Drive. So I try and teach the students, especially on their recent, so they have the options there. So your recent documents, and I try to encourage them to tag a few things, even within email, like put in a tag, because that way it just makes it kind of a little bit easier. Because it just becomes too much. But within the Google Drive, like just trying to train them, conditioning I would call it, into like which course has which one. And I guess like having a standard system, especially the course code, so they can always find stuff.
So basically, the B.F. Skinner approach to student file naming right here is just getting that going then.
As for a search engine, if they're using Google or Edge, good for them. But when the students ask you a simple question like what's a turkey, I'll be like, just type it in the box, and why don't you type the image box and then you see a picture? Like I try to suggest to the students every time they have a vocabulary question, use your phone, use, for example, Google Translate, or just type image search for the word you're looking for. So you get
Yeah, I
You
do
get
that
the
too.
image and the word, and the
Mhm.
students understand what they're looking. And that's one trick to learn how to use a search box.
Well, and I think
Teaching them all the
it's
capabilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Go ahead,
more
Rob.
it's more that because they search everything, like you said, Jeff. Like they're
Mm.
very good at search. They're not very good at URL. So I think one
Mm.
thing we had to realize is that giving the URL to our LMS, to our Moodle page, wasn't going to help the students. It was going to involve a lot of checking every single page. And so really leaning into that search function. Hey, if you search this, you should get to our page. Or if you go to the Soldier main page and click here, there's a link over here that will get you to our page. So really leaning into the cultural norm of searching has really helped us get the students back.
Yeah, I've seen students go back to the main page of the university because there's a link there, and they
Email.
much prefer to do that because that page is always open on their computer than actually just typing the URL. Uh, that's definitely something that most Japanese students will do.
I
Mm.
think for me, I use probably more than other teachers that I work with is a whole lot of QR codes. And so one of the good things in Chrome is usually if you go up to the address bar,
Mm.
that if you click on it, it will give you the little dinosaur that lets
Mm.
you create an exclusive QR code. I used to have to use a QR code creator, but now in Chrome, it gives you the dinosaur. It's a little dinosaur one. And so I use that for like quizzes, even like within a class. Like if I'm quickly wanting to share, I don't never put up a URL on its own. It's just everybody's so used to scanning the QR code, bam, you
Mm.
jump to it. Like because there's so many mistakes to be made. Like I would never tell a student to write out a URL. Like if anything, it'd be a copy paste because you're destined for failure if you even get like
Exactly.
something wrong. It's just
Mhm.
downtime, wasted time.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
Jeff, what does URL stand for? I think somebody said it before, but
URL is a universal resource locator. And that'll be the first and last time this week that I think any of us will need to use that terminology right there. And that's one of the points about this, isn't it, Brian? That we've got these terms which are important to help understand what these English contractions or this tech jargon as a contraction actually means. It can help you understand it. But sometimes students need to practically be trained in some of this stuff. Uh, I use the Microsoft Teams sort of quasi LMS, I think I'd call it. And their assignments have a couple of learning accelerators, they're called. One of them is called Reading Progress, which gives AI feedback on student reading aloud. But there's another that's called Search Progress. And in Search Progress, you can coach students in how they work in search. You can teach them how to search for a domain, a file type, a date range. You can use certain operators like quotation marks and the minus or plus character or and like that. You can demand a certain number of sources and citations in here with explanations for why a student might choose a particular source over another. I found it pretty useful in teaching students media literacy, showing them what they need to find there. And it's also just a skill. It helps them understand more of the capabilities that a lot of the search that they're using has.
So it's not because it's on the internet; it's real, right?
Oh, well, I mean, everything I've found on the internet lately has been completely real, man. I mean,
Mm.
it's just amazing some of the stuff that's going on. Did you know that Donald Trump has 3 Martian girlfriends now?
Of course.
I was just astonished to
But
find out the man at his age, it's an amazing accomplishment. It really is.
I do agree with you. I mean, media literacy is being taught a little bit earlier on in the school system in Japan now. They want to teach it in high school. But as university students, we need to reintroduce them to the concept, especially if they have to do research. And there's a lot of things that will happen with AI soon that we will need to increase that media literacy. So, yeah, you're right. It's extremely important.
Well, the government has the Giga project in elementary schools, right? So children
Exactly.
are they get some sort of like device from third grade, and they keep
From
it.
first grade.
Mm,
In some places, so I think the government rule is everybody gets it from third, but maybe some places are actually
Hmm.
going beyond the minimum limitation. I've got three daughters. Second daughter is graduating in March 2025, and she has a tablet from the elementary school. And my question was, do you have to return that? Will we have to buy a new device for her? But actually, because she's continuing in public education,
mm,
so she's actually allowed to take it. So because she's going to school within the same city, she can then
Hmm.
take it with her, which is good because she's used to it and she's got a whole lot of stuff on it.
mm.
It's an iPad with a keyboard, but she's very proficient at it because she really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that between middle school, like during the high school years, if students are not totally focused on test, that they'll actually keep that computer literacy skills going. So by the
Mm.
time you get to university, like it's really developed. I mean, that was the whole point of the Giga project, right? Is to try and get them early. But I worry about the gaps because sometimes you're thinking like, at university, you don't know how to type. Like my kid's doing this in primary school,
Mm.
and there's the gaps, and often we have to kind of reset and rework things.
That's a really important point, Brian. I think is that for schools, elementary or junior high school, you are often quite captive to the quality of the staff and faculty at the school. And some schools have tremendous staff and faculty, and they really support students ramping up those skills over time. Others maybe don't as much for various reasons. And I
Budgets
can't
too,
say
yeah.
anything. Well, budgets for sure. And also the amount of work that a lot of elementary and junior high school teachers have just means that some of them are possibly too busy to handle some of that workload. It's a lot more work than I feel like I have to deal with at the university level, for sure.
Which brings up the idea that as people were a little bit more inclined to use technology, we should make ourselves available for staff around us
Mm,
and try to help them. Uh, People around us are not always very good with computers. So if we try to give them a hand down the road, it helps us because if we need a new system, if we need new tech, the same people that we help might be the one who makes this decision to say, yes, you can get that new technology, or yes, you can get a new plugin, or so we
Speaking
have
of
to make
plugs,
ourselves help. Yes.
speaking of
speaking of
plugs,
plugs,
Speaking of plugs, so I guess like all this technology is great if your device is charged and you can actually
Yes.
connect to the server.
hmm
And so, look, what's your what's the thing that you
Just
think a new
bring
teacher should have in a new classroom when they go in?
bring power cords, and also
mm,
suggest that the students bring the cords for their computers, especially engineering students have massive computer with graphic cards that don't last very long.
Mm.
So the class is 90 minutes. Either they come with a computer that is fully charged, or you tell them to bring their power cords, and they can, just in case of an
yeah.
emergency, plug their computer
Yeah.
in so they can finish the class.
hmm
Well, and
Yeah,
if you're
an
at school,
engineering laptop is not a fully portable device. It really isn't.
No,
no.
they're massive laptop, and they burn a lot of energy quickly. So
Mm.
Well, and if you're a
Just like me.
classroom that has the if you got those floor plugs, usually
mhm.
the little square bricks that everyone's computers has now don't really fit into those floor places. So that's why having a little extension cord or something that definitely plugs in, so the students can plug into that device. I personally been around for a little bit, so I have some research budget. Have bought a plug for my students. If you're a new teacher, you might not necessarily have money to just buy a USB C in case a student forgets their charger. But nowadays, almost every computer can charge with a USB C device. So
Mm.
you get a
I
nice
think
charger, it can make things easier.
I think it's okay for one of those adapters that if you need it as a teacher without a budget, is to let that adapter into the witness relocation program and relocate it to your classroom for when you for when you need it to get you through. Sometimes you just have to have something that helps you get through that way, by hook or by crook, and then you can worry about it later.
Oh, speaking of relocating, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break here? And when we come back for section 2, we are going to move away from the skills and concepts into some fundamental tools that maybe can be used to help address some of these challenges that we have in fundamentals for students at the beginning of the year. All right, everybody, welcome back. We'd like to talk about fundamental tools and resources that we'd recommend to help address some of the tech skill fundamentals that we were just talking about. Starting with keyboarding skills. Brian, you have a website you use.
Yeah, every year I use the BBC bite-sized typing. It's part of the UK schools program. So, of course, just like NHK in Japan, BBC do all the schools online stuff. And yeah, I've been using it for a number of years. Use it with my own kids. I use it with my university kids. In class, we do it as a fun activity. Starts off with just 1 or 2 keys, and then it's the center line, and then it's the full QWERTY keyboard. For students who are good at typing, I say to them, you can play with it. And for students who are not good, I said, please practice it. I usually have that. I'll put the link into the show notes at the end. But yeah, BBC bite-sized typing. It's quite good, and it's fun, and it's easy.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
What about the Google Digital Skills platform when it talks to word processing?
Yeah, Google Digital Skills, they're mostly video instructional lessons that students can do. They're kind of standalone, but in order to be able to follow a digital video lesson, you have to be able to get to that first stage, as we were talking about before. But they're good. They're all in English, though. But the speed can be changed, slowed up. There's transcripts on it. If you're proficient with a computer, which, as we said, we know the students are not when they come in, it's maybe those are good to use as a supplement to what you teach in the class. So I would usually teach the skill first and then say, if you're not sure, watch this video again. Like, if you want to learn more skills, watch the other videos. But it's definitely a great source. So I'm a Google Digital Applied Skills Ambassador, I think is the full title. So yeah, I would promote that, and it's free. So I like it. Definitely a good source.
Thank you, Ambassador Gallagher. And Rob and Luke, I think you guys both mentioned that early on in your classes, you have students create and write emails to send to you. What's this for?
So we get all our student names when they email us. It's all in kanji. And unfortunately, my kanji, especially for some unique names, is not all that great. So knowing who the student is kind of important. Also, when they get sick, when they have issues, if they're not going to be in class, I always like to know. But a lot of them don't know how to contact me. And it's so what I do in one of the first classes is give them time in class to send me an email. At a minimum, so the first email they send, they just have to send their name in English, whether that's Nomaji or they have like an actual English name they want to use, whatever it is, whatever they want, however they want to be contacted or referred to in class, they should use that in the email. And then looking back, I can always look at the history and see their name if I'm ever unsure of who it is. So it makes my life a lot easier. And then I've noticed once I started implementing that, I started getting many more students telling me they're sick or telling me they're going to miss class for different reasons. So it made it, classroom management became a lot easier for me.
Exactly. I also asked them just to identify themselves. Like, tell me your name, tell me which class you're in, what time, what day. So if you're going to be sick, just tell me, what do you study? So it's easier for me to look in the list. So, and it's a first step toward professional emailing, right? It's a basic skill that they will need after they graduate. So again, media literacy 101, but being able to email is very important in school and after school.
It really is. And asking students who they identify as or how to identify themselves is very important. Um, Slightly nonsensical aside, but as we were setting up the JALT 2025 website for this year, Adam briefly experimented with having people identify themselves as an animal, vegetable, or mineral. And for no other reason than just because I chose mineral. And the other people in the group really agreed, disturbingly so. So I'm not really sure on that. Okay, moving away from absolute silliness, we've got some recommended resources, some things that can maybe help you guys' lives a little bit earlier here. Brian, you've got a couple right at the beginning of the list.
Yeah, so I work at Meijo, but I also work at Kinjo Academy University, Kinjo Gakuin Daigaku, and I have other jobs as well as family and, dare I say, a life of my own. So I have to schedule like my whole week, just not just for me but for the family too. So I use an American college schedule maker. We'll put the links into the notes. It's from Gizmoa .com, and it's really good. It's nice and easy. You can quickly change the times, so different universities maybe start at different times, and so it's good to make it compact. And so I share that with students as well and say, if you want to make your schedule for your friend or for yourself, put in your part-time job and things like that, so that it makes it kind of like easier.
That sounds really useful. What about the vocabulary search?
Yeah, so for sometimes I don't have time, like many teachers, to make something that's got the vocabulary from the class. So I quickly use the website. It's called thewordsearch.com. There's lots of pre-made searches that you can do. So it can be something you just, if you want something as a warmer, you like just search for the topic and do it. Or you can put in your own vocab lists, and it does it all nicely. A couple of clicks of the button can change the color scheme, can change the shape of it. It's nice and easy. Yeah.
Okay, Rob, I think it was you that mentioned the Microsoft Editor plugin.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little earlier as well, but just getting something on the students' browsers, we'll have a link in the description. But whether it's the Microsoft Editor, a Grammarly Editor, extension, something so that students get a very quick English spell check and grammar check to really help them and get them used to these professional tools so that when they leave university, they're able to present themselves as capable human beings.
Okay. And Luc, I know you already exist with 3 languages in your life as it is, with English, French, and Japanese.
Yes.
What do you teach your students about managing translation?
I try to get all my students to install Google Translate on their phone and using the plugin on the browser. If a situation arises when the students try to explain to me something very complicated, and if my Japanese is not good enough, I just ask them, use your phone. You just use your Google Translate. You can talk to your phone or you can type it in. And if it's something a little bit touchy, the student is sick or a family member dies and they have to go to a funeral, they can explain to me clearly what is the problem using a tool that everybody uses around the world.
Okay. I like it very much, and I use it quite a bit myself, I have to admit. I've got a couple of things I'd like to recommend as well. I'd mentioned before that Microsoft 365's Teams app has a couple of learning accelerators, one of which is called Search Progress. And that can be used to help teach students a lot of fundamentals related to search itself. And that can be an excellent starting point for media literacy studies with students. I use that myself some. And then something that's just happened within the last week, the Poe.com multi AI access website now has the ability to create your own bots. And you can go on there and customize a bot and create it yourself and share that. For a lot of students, and for a lot of student assignments, perhaps asking students to create a bot with a specific purpose in mind, or for a lot of teachers who want to create something that's more limited and will ask students to give some structured feedback or have a structured interaction with students. This could be very helpful, especially since you can choose among a wide variety of different models with different capabilities. Okay. I think that's what we've got here for resources. Okay. Closing. We have some upcoming events we would like to make everyone aware of. The JALTCALL Collaborative Online Event with Eurocall AI SIG, March 31st. We'll be sending out information on the JALTCALL newsletter, and the Eurocall newsletter will also have this information. JALTCALL's own Judy Wang and John Gayed will be presenting about the online feedback platform that they're creating, AI feedback for writing. And the AI SIG's Chris Fry is going to be presenting as well. Well, I don't have details of his workshop. He's actually giving a workshop yet. The JALTCALL Forum at PanSig in Chiba at Kanda International University. Brian, you're the PanSig liaison. Can you tell us a little about this?
Yeah, so I am the this year, the 2025 PanSig Forums and Posters Chair. So that's my executive position on the PanSig committee on behalf of JALTCALL. It's going to be July 18th, 19th, 20th in the city of Makuhari, which is right beside Chiba Lotte Stadium. So if you're a baseball fan, get yourself down there. It's a really nice campus, and we're going to have PanSig. We're going to have a JALTCALL forum there. We don't know the date and the time specifically yet, but we'll keep you posted, and updates will be sent out as to the lineup for that.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And we'd also like to invite everybody to join us at the JALTCALL 2025 conference with the theme of Call for All, July 18th through the 20th, Friday through Sunday at Tokyo University of Science Katsushika in Tokyo. We have a lot of exciting activities planned, and there'll be wonderful presentations and a lot of people to meet. So please come and just be there with us.
So, Geoff, our conference, the deadline for submission, that's been extended.
Oh, you're right, Brian. It has. It's been extended out to, and 14th. I do not have that date.
I think you'll find it's probably March 14th.
March 14th?
Is the deadline for that, which will be... this podcast is going out on March 10th, so that'll be that you'll have a full week. But please get your submission in. It's always, most people work to the deadline, but that deadline is now extended.
All right, that's outstanding. I'm glad. Okay, does anybody else have something before we close up here?
So, final message I have for listeners out there. So, I want to take some time here to remind listeners that we want to hear from you. If you're working on any special projects, if you want to reach out to other listeners for collaboration, if you want to launch something new, then contact us at program@jaltcall.org and let us help you broadcast your message to everyone. If you have a JALTCALL related event, if you have a collaboration, a chapter event, or anything technology related, we want to hear from you. So remember, that's program@jaltcall.org.
Thank you, Brian. And program@jaltcall.org is the email that I monitor because I'm the program chair at JALTCALL. So if you guys send a message there, I will definitely see it. I'll be looking forward to it. All right. I think that about wraps up everything for today. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
And sharing everything.
Thanks, Geoff.
And all right. And Rob, Luc, and Brian, thank you. We'll see you next time. And everybody else out there too, please send us some messages, send us your feedback, and join us for these events we just talked about. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.